Well, everyone, it's time to get my 72 Sport Custom all fixed up and ready to sell. So let me go fill you in here in a little bit. Well, guys, this is my 1972 Sport Custom Camper Special with a 390. As you just heard, I said get it ready to sell. I couldn't remember if I had filled you guys in yet. I don't think I have. Planning on selling this truck. I've had it for a good 3 years, and since I've had it, I've done a little bit of work to it. I got these the right hubcap for it and repainted the exterior. I got the air conditioner working. I had to replace the radiator, and really it's been replaced fuel pump, obviously, because these things always need a fuel pump. But other than that, it's been a really nice truck for me. A little dirty in here, I need to clean it out. But yeah, it's just been, like I said, I got this thing 3 years ago. This is actually my first bump side I bought, so it's gonna be hard to let this one go. But I am selling it so I can keep one of the crew cabs. So I guess bittersweet ending, I guess. But what I need to do with it is it has an exhaust manifold leak, and a very bad one at that. It's leaking right there at the end, pointing right at the alternator. Let me start it up and you'll hear what I'm talking about. We can get that old 390 started. C6 transmission, so you don't have to step on the clutch. It's awful noisy over here. You get the idea. So yeah, the dreaded FE exhaust leak. That's dreaded because these bolts right here are known for being seized up and just terrible to work with. But I was planning on taking the heads off of this until I realized this has probably been off before, because someone has done the old fix right here. If a bolt breaks off, is drill it out and put a bolt all the way through it. So I think this has been off before, so we might get lucky and be able to pop these loose. It's only the top ones. Usually the bottom ones are fine. So I'm going to give it a try and see if we can break those loose, and then I'll know how far I got to get in this engine. Luckily, the other side's still good, so we're going to try this side right here, right now, and see if we can get it undone. Okay, let's give it a go. Don't want to break the bolt. There it went. Well, that's good. That's a good sign. We got one down. Okay, that one's good and loose. It didn't break off. That is a good sign. If I get there. We got 3 more to go, because this one I can get out, obviously, because it's a bolt. It's tight. That one broke loose. Okay, cross your fingers, everyone. We have 1 more to go. Oh, and I can't get on it. Can't get on it. I'm gonna have to get a end wrench. That sucks. Unless I take the exhaust off first, but I wanted to kind of figure out. I'm gonna go get an end wrench and see if we can get this thing broke off. Okay, I got an end wrench here. Box end wrench. Let's give it a go, see if I can get back in there without blocking the camera too bad. Maybe. Come on. It's hard to tell if that was moving or the wrench was rounding it off. Kind of much rather it be much rather it be a 6-point than a 12-point. I think that's turning it. The dang choke tubes are in the way. It's turning it, but it's not as free as the others. Hopefully we're not twisting the bolt off. That would be unfortunate that we got so close. I think it's twisting. Well, that's good. I'm gonna leave it at that. That's good. We got them loose. I think they're all coming loose. I'm not gonna touch the other side just because it's not leaking. But I'm gonna get since I'm not gonna pull this off since we're outside. I'm gonna get this in the shop and get this manifold off and see if we can get this exhaust leak fixed. Well, I got the new gasket on, and I guess my luck has finally run out on this truck. I was able to get the bolts undone and got it all apart and put the new gasket in there, and I even put a new donut gasket in the exhaust and got it all put back together, and it was still leaking, and it's leaking in the same spot. And you're probably going to have a hard time seeing this, but the head does not seem to be flat anymore. I can stick a screwdriver in there right where it's leaking, and there's a big gap right there. So that head is burned up right there on the corner. So unfortunately, it looks like the heads do have to come off. So that was my original plan anyway. So I guess I have all the parts and everything to do it. So that's not too bad. I have a good set of heads here that I think are in good shape, but I'm going to take them to the machinist to get checked for cracks and leak test them and everything, and maybe just replace those valve seals because I have new valve seals. But got them all cleaned up, and we're going to get these heads in the machine shop, and I'm going to work on pulling those heads. Well, I have a lot of this stuff pulled off of this engine, getting it ready to pull the heads off. I decided just to leave the heads and intake and everything on for now, because I took those heads to the other heads to the machine shop, and he said he's about a week or so out on those. So in the meantime, I'm just going to leave this together so it's the bores and everything stay clean, and we don't have to worry about moisture getting in there, rust on the walls, or dirt and debris getting in there while they're sitting open. Because it won't take very long at all to pull these heads for now. But I want to try to clean all this oil residue and everything off of here. So it'd be best to keep that all sealed up while I pressure wash that oil and stuff off and degrease it. Right here's where that cylinder head is leaking, right there. There's been some work done. You can tell this got really hot and was torched, because there's a piece like missing right there. So this was probably broke off or real stuck at one point, and someone put gaskets in it. I don't know why that cylinder head was leaking. It hadn't been leaking very long since I've owned it. If that was a previous deal, and they tried to patch it and without taking the cylinder head off. But anyway, we're just going to change these heads out and putting hardened seats and everything in the new ones, so they'll be good to go. Fresh valve job and all that. But for now, while we're waiting on those cylinder heads to get back, I want to work on the front end. If you've noticed how low down this truck sits, I believe the coil springs have sagged a little bit over the years, so I got some new coil springs. Going to put some coil springs under that. And while I got the wheels off, I'm going to check the wheel bearings and the brakes and see how the brakes are doing. I know there's a wheel cylinder in the back leaking, so I'm going to probably put a wheel cylinder on the back and new drums in the back. Or drum liners, not drums. But put new shoes in the back because that wheel cylinder is leaking and it's the whole all greasy in there. So you know those shoes are covered in grease. So But now I'm going to see what we need, if we need anything for the front, and then I'll be able to get parts for the front and the rear if we need them. So I'm going to get after that. I'm going to take a quick measurement here before I start any work and see what we change it, if any at all. Looks like we're about 31 inches to the top of the wheel well there. So we'll reference that after I get done. Well, I got the drums off the front here, and wheel bearings all look good. Grease looks good and clean, so wheel bearings are good. The shoe liners are actually pretty good shape, and I think I'm just going to replace the wheel cylinders because these things are prone to leaking and causing problems. And whenever I was using this truck, we had one wheel was grabbing. I think it was this one. This one was grabbing way before the other one, and that can be a sticky wheel cylinder here. Like, this one's loose and that one's sticky, so all the fluid goes to here first, and this one grabs, and then you get enough pressure, that one over there grabs. So these things are really cheap, or relatively cheap, I guess. So I'm just going to replace the wheel cylinders just so they're new. The brake lines look good. Actually, I think I don't know if it's this one. One of them looks like they've been replaced before. So somebody had been doing maintenance on it before I got it. But I think it's set for a long time before I got it, like a lot of the trucks I'm getting. But this truck, when I got it, I can't remember if it was 2016 when I got it. I think so. It had been sitting for at least 3 years when I got it from the guy I bought it from. He had it in storage just because he saw it for sale on the side of the road, and it was such a nice truck, he had to buy it, and he put it in the barn. And then he decided he wasn't ever going to do anything with it, so he decided to list it for sale, and that's when I picked it up. And he said the people before that they had it was doing a lot of sitting. But I think around 2001 there was some receipts in the glove box. Around 2001 or something, somebody did some work to it. I think they went through the brakes and put an exhaust on it and kind of stuff like that. But it's hasn't had a lot of usage on it over the years. But I think these wheel cylinders haven't been replaced in a long time because the rust on the back matches the rust on the back plate, so they might even be original. This brake line here, I think, has been replaced. See how that bright gold anodized finish on the fittings? That would be aftermarket brake line there. So going to replace those wheel cylinders, and then I had to undo the brake lines because they let them droop, and then I'm going to replace these coil springs. So I'm going to get after that. Once I get this done, then we'll start on the rear. Hey guys, welcome back to our 72 Sport Custom project. I got parts in, got the wheel cylinders for the front, some shoes for the rear, and some wheel seals for the rear to fix that leaking wheel seal. Got the old wheel cylinders out, and gonna put the new ones in. New coil springs are in, obviously. Have new shock absorbers on order. They won't be here till tomorrow, but once they get here, we'll button all this thing up and get it back on the tires. So let's get after it. Well guys, got this side all buttoned back up. If you notice, I have new wheels on here. Well, repainted wheels. I painted, sandblasted, and painted some wheels up. And got the hubcap on there. Looks a lot better. The old ones were just gray. As you can see here, they were just old gray wheels. I also got some new radial tires on it because I'm sure the new buyer would appreciate radial tires over the bias plies I had on there. I just like the old school look of those, but they're not that great for highway driving, and they got flat spots in them and stuff. So I got some good old radial tires on here, so it'll drive nice. Here's one of the other wheels that I painted up. Here's the other side. I'm going to get this side back together and get it on the ground, and I'm going to get a measurement here so we can see what our leaf springs did, or not leaf springs, or coil springs did for ride height. It looks like it's going to be a lot higher, judging by this side, but I won't know for sure till I get the other side out. I'm going to bounce it up and down so it'll settle a little bit, and it'll still settle more as it drives, but we'll get a rough idea. Then I'm going to start on the rear. So it's time to check our height. Looks about 32 and a half, so I think it was 31, I believe, so inch and a half. That's not bad. It's probably going to settle a little bit, so we'll just say an inch. So it did raise it up some, so that's pretty good. I'm happy with that stance. It's there's some gap on the top of the tire now, so those new tires are on there, but they're the same size as the old ones, so they shouldn't affect anything. But yeah, we got that height difference there. Well, here on the rear end, you can see what I was talking about the wheel seal leaking. Back in here, leaking out the drum there. And so you know everything in here is going to be coated in that gear oil. So that's why I got new liners for this, and new liners, and just went ahead and got new wheel cylinders for the back of this as well. So we'll get those new shoes on and get this all cleaned up and get new wheel seals on both sides, and then the back end will be ready to go. Well, I got the drum and rotor, or the drum and hub off, and you can see what I was talking about. See how greasy everything is in here? This has been, that wheel seal's been leaking, and those shoes are just covered in gear oil, and that's why I'm getting, even though they have really good life left on them, they're always gonna have that gear oil soaked in them. And even in the past on old farm trucks, you've tried to coke that out with a torch, and you still couldn't get all the grease out of them. So it's always a good idea just to replace them when they're that bad. The seal here, I'll have to do some inspecting and see why it's bad. Don't see anything obvious right away, but I gotta knock that bearing out of there and replace that seal, and I'll get all this cleaned up and start taking it apart. Well guys, I was taking the other side off to get it all ready to be replaced, and noticed there wasn't a adjuster, the self adjuster. There should be an arm here and a cable that goes up here that adjusts the shoe. I guess whenever you go backwards it moves and it adjusts the adjuster so it that your brake shoes stay in contact with the drum, because if they don't, there'll be too much of a gap here and you won't have enough pedal travel to expand the wheel cylinder out all the way to give you braking force. You have to like pump the brakes up. So I was having that exact problem with this truck, so that might be some problems. And I was coming, well, over here I was going to get this and try to look for some parts that we have. I was going to get the one off of this side, and then I realized there wasn't even one on this side. I didn't realize that when I was taking it apart. I wasn't paying too much attention, I guess, and there wasn't one on this side either. So not only was this side covered in gear oil, but they were probably both way out of adjustment. And you can tell that because the drum just like fell off. When you get the wheel bearing off, the drum will just come right off instead of having, usually they'll drag a little bit on the on the shoes there. And sometimes you even have to adjust the adjuster in a little bit to bring the shoes in so you can get the drum off if there's a lip on the end of that drum. But there's no lip on these because they haven't had much use. This side was working some. You can see all the brake dust, and it's not covered in gear oil. But I do remember having to pump up the brakes if you want to stop hard. So we're going to, I was digging around in all of our old brake parts. I found 2 cables. Well, I found this cable. It's an old used one. And then I found this old brake kit that has been there a long time. It's got some mud daubers in it. Had some, had a new cable and everything. So had that, but I was missing, then I was missing the adjusters because they don't even have the metal arms. So I was like, well, I'm gonna have to get a brake kit. But then we had this kit on the shelf ready to go. So I'm just gonna use this one and put a new adjuster in both sides, and we will be good to go after I get, gotta run that drum through the parts washer and clean all this stuff, replace those wheel cylinders, replace the wheel seals as well, and we'll get it all back together and she will be ready to go. Well guys, I successfully got the rear brakes back together. We're almost done with all of that stuff. I still have to put a master cylinder on it and bleed everything. But I have the cylinder heads here back from the machine shop. He ended up having to put a few valves in it. There was a few valves that were bad. A couple of bent ones and a couple that were ate up. So put some new valves in it. New hardened seats. Decked the bottom of them. Cleaned them all up. Knew I had to put a valve guide in one of them. New seals and everything, so they're all freshly rebuilt, ready to go back on. So now I just have to pull these old heads off of here and get them swapped over. But I think we're going to do that on the next episode. This episode is getting a little bit long, so the next episode on this truck, we're going to get the heads back on here and get it back running. So you're not going to miss that. Hit that subscribe button so you know when that happens. Hit the thumbs up if you like this project and like this truck here we're working on. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys.